Welcome to AutoSens, the world's leading community for ADAS and autonomous vehicle technology development. We create best-in-class events, training, and information to connect the global community of scientists, engineers, and industry experts. We are joined today by Radhika Arora, Senior Director of Product Management for the Automotive Sensing Division of onsemi. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic.
So great to have you back again. Of course, we're glad to have you back involved with our events at AutoSens this year in Detroit. I'd like to get us started with some questions right away. Can you provide an overview of onsemi's sensing technology for advanced driver assistance systems? And how does it contribute to enhancing the automotive functionality and safety?
So first of all, Sarah, it's always a pleasure to be back at AutoSense. It's just such a fantastic community of engineers. So just glad to be here. So let me start by talking about the offerings that we have from onsemi for automotive ADAS systems. So today, the Automotive Image Sensor Group targets three main areas within automotive, which is ADAS and autonomous driving, viewing, and in-cabin. And it's interesting to see that the viewing segment is now morphing into viewing and sensing as well to target applications like auto park. From our sister division with onsemi, we also have offerings for ultrasonic. And coming back to in-cabin, we have offerings for both indirect and direct time of flight. So essentially, we cover the entire gamut of applications within the automotive space. We've been doing this a long time, and the reliability, safety, and security is what we stand by. Those are some of the key characteristics of our offering, having offerings in the market since 2005. So we were essentially the first provider of HDR imagers, leading the pack on a wide array of feature sets.
The demand for automotive image sensors is obviously continuing to expand as the ADAS functions and vehicle intelligence increases. How do you keep up with that demand, and what is it about onsemi's manufacturing capabilities that sets them apart in the automotive image sensor industry?
It's absolutely fascinating when you see the adoption rate of cameras in cars. We started with a single VGA sensor back in the day. And actually, as a matter of fact, we still sell VGA sensors for rear view. But with that, we're seeing sensors going up to about 16 per car or even higher in certain cases. So yes, it's the demand is going through the roof. We've put in a lot of R&D, a lot of capital investment into our supply chain. It's something that we've been investing in, not just post the COVID crisis, the semiconductor crisis that the whole industry faced, but it's something that we've been investing in way before that as well. So the approach that we're taking is we have a dual source option for every step of the supply chain. Now, what do I mean by that? Because image sensors are a complicated device to manufacture. So we start with wafer fabrication, where we have external partners as well as our own internal fab that we brought up in record time. And we actually start shipping production material from that fab this year. The second step is the microlens and the color filter array. We've owned that piece of the supply chain for a very, very long time. But in addition, we brought partners on as well. Because when we look at color filter arrays, because we've owned that piece of the supply chain, we've come up with some very unique patents, of course, in collaboration with our partners and customers as well. The third piece is probing of the sensor. Again, we have both in-house and external partners. And then finally, an assembly as well, where we relied extensively on our partners. But because of the demand, now we do have our own internal assembly side as well. So essentially, there are two advantages. You spoke about how do we keep up with the demand. Now, with dual source options for every step of the supply chain, we are able to cover the demand we are seeing from the customers, but it also gives us a lot of control on R&D. Being in the engineering space, it's all about innovation at fast pace, and that's the second advantage with owning the supply chain.
Yeah, that's really interesting and it makes a lot of sense. What would you say makes onsemi's ADAS solution stand out from its competitors in terms of innovation, reliability, performance, things like that?
Look, we have close to 1 billion imagers on the road today. That's the highest in the industry. So 1 billion sensors all over the world with onsemi branding behind them. We've grown with our customers. As I said, we were the first ones with the HDR sensor, first ones introducing functional safety into our images, first ones offering an 8 megapixel sensor in the market at 2.1 micron pixel size. I can go on and on with the firsts there. But the one point that I really want to highlight here is our performance across temperature. And that's absolutely key. When you look at a typical mission profile, a majority of the time, and when I say a majority of the time, that's over 80% of the time, you're actually operating upwards of 60 degrees centigrade. And when you look at imagers, they're very, very sensitive to temperature. So dark current, which is one of the metrics used to define an imager, it doubles with every 8-degree rise in temperature. So that means your performance is getting impacted as the temperature varies. So there is a close interaction between the hardware and the software. So the less variance that you have in the imager output across these temperature ranges, the more accuracy that you're going to see in your decision making. And frankly, from a software and a build-up perspective and a bring-up perspective, it's that much more efficient. So that's the one parameter that we really need to highlight and talk about in the industry. It's not just testing at room temperature, but it's testing the validity of the data across the entire temperature range. And that's the one area that onsemi really stands out.
That's really interesting. And of course, the concept of, temperature having an impact on the image sensor performance makes sense and is something I think people are aware of, but the percentage of the time that it's actually operating at a really, what I would consider a high temperature, that's sort of startling. I guess I wasn't expecting that. And it makes sense that you guys have so much control and have paid so much attention to that element of the image sensor and the quality and sort of the longevity of the sensor too. So we know the ADAS market is a rapidly evolving landscape. What are the latest solutions and developments from onsemi that have helped to position you as one of the market leaders in this way?
So I want to talk about our Hyperlux product family. We actually introduced it to the market last year. But what we've done in the last few months is work extensively within the automotive ecosystem in order to take more complete solutions to our customers. But what really makes that product family stand out is, number one, we offer the highest dynamic range for imagers with that product family. Now, when I say the highest dynamic range, it's 120 dB in a single shot and 150 dB total dynamic range. And that's critical. Like, I personally face it every single day. I'm driving into work. I go over this overpass. I have this blinding sun in my eyes. I cannot see what's in front of me for that 1 second or 2 seconds. The reason we add technology is because it's supposed to be better than the human eye, which is what these cameras now provide with this wide dynamic range. I spoke about the performance across temperature, be it the dynamic range or the signal to noise ratio, the consistency and the stability of that performance is what really differentiates the Hyperlux product family. Coming back to the dynamic range, with this wide dynamic range that we offer on Hyperlux, you do not need to keep changing the exposure and gain settings frame to frame. So that means that your sensor is automatically adjusting as you go through different lighting conditions. So imagine you're going through a tunnel, which is a very dark scene, and at the exit of the tunnel, you have a lot of light. So you want to be able to make sure that you're able to see what's at the exit of the tunnel in advance, such that you can do the right decision making. Now, if you have to keep adjusting the gain per frame, you can have dropped frames, you can have delays and lags. So it's actually a safety issue. With Hyperlux, without the need to keep adjusting these gains and settings, you actually have a safer, more reliable sensor that you can depend on. We also have the lowest power on this product family, period. It's something that our customers have verified with us, and something we are super proud of the engineering team to be able to get the power as low as we have on all the resolutions being offered within the Hyperlux portfolio. So with the highest performance, with the lowest power, and by the way, the smallest form factor as well, we have a high-performing, cost-competitive, easy bring-up product family that we've launched in the market.
That's very incredible, and quite the list of check marks in your favor of things you guys are doing right, it sounds like, and prioritizing the right things for automotive. Shifting gears a little bit, what approach is onsemi taking to include or enhance the cybersecurity, data privacy aspects of ADAS applications? What are you doing to sort of directly tackle the growing concerns of data security, especially as we're seeing it inside the vehicle as well?
That's a great question. And I'm glad that cybersecurity as part of image sensors is becoming more and more a discussion point. We've been offering cybersecurity on our product since 2018. We were early to the market. The market was just not ready. It's a super important topic because we see the number of black hat attacks versus white hat attacks significantly growing. And it's something we take very, very seriously as part of our building blocks as we define our products. So when we talk about cybersecurity, we approach it to address three main threat vectors. The first threat vector being counterfeiting. So imagine that the camera in the car is being damaged, and you go to a workshop and they replace it with a camera that is not the original camera part of the car. So that means your sensor is going to respond differently. The software that's been built around the original camera could be nullified, leading to incorrect decision making. So that's a pretty serious threat vector. So we have a solution as part of our cybersecurity block that addresses that. Let's talk about the second threat vector, which is trespassing. You could have somebody incorrectly either pulling out frames or inserting frames. So imagine you're driving down the highway, there's a car in front of you, but somebody's pulled that frame out. So there's a car in front of you, but the camera cannot see it because it just pulled out the frame. So again, it's incorrect decision making. It's a safety issue. Third threat vector is bypassing. So somebody could hack into a system and basically you could bypass the camera stream completely. So we've introduced solutions that address these three main threat vectors. Today, there is an ISO standard. It is a recently released ISO standard that's been ratified. That's the ISO 21434. And our Sensors suite with cybersecurity features is compliant with it. So super proud of the team for achieving that milestone.
Yeah, that's really important. And I'm not surprised to hear that you guys have already considered the security and privacy elements and that it's been available since 2018. That's really impressive. Yeah, it's been really interesting to see how the market has changed as we've grown the in-cabin part of our community to see what demands are coming there and how closely those demands tie in with our ADAS and autonomous driving communities. So great to see that you guys are on top of all of it. Thanks so much for being with us today, Radhika, and looking forward to seeing you into Detroit. Let's do this again soon.
Sarah, it's been an
From
absolute pleasure and look forward to seeing you and meeting the rest of the community at AutoSens Detroit.
Fabulous. For more information on onsemi and to find out more about our upcoming events, check out the links in the description or visit autosense.com. That's auto-sense.com. For more in-depth interviews like this, subscribe to the AutoSense YouTube channel and follow AutoSense on LinkedIn. From the Twin Cities, on behalf of AutoSense, I'm Sarah Sargent.